Christmas was a big deal. We made each other presents. There were 7 of us, Mom and Dad, who had art degrees, and we all learned how to draw and make things. And so Christmas was a big deal. And when I got out of college and started serving my tour of duty in the Air Force, it was the late 60s and the draft was on. And I had a commission as a second lieutenant in the Air Force. And I was transferred out to California. My family lived in Virginia. So about June, I went to the hobby shop, or the wood shop, and started making presents for my brothers and sisters, and also my parents. And I was in love with Bonnie. Bonnie was my true love. She was back in Virginia too, and I was working extra hard on a secret box that had panels that slid, and inside there was a passionate love note for her. So I was working overtime on this, and about November I asked the commanding officer, I said, so I'm going to apply for some leave over Christmas time. And I just wanted to square things away and put some notice in on that. And the commanding officer looked at me and he said, what rank are you, Medler? And I said, second lieutenant. And he said, what's the lowest ranking officer in the Air Force? It's a second lieutenant. He says, we have to have a warm body on duty Christmas Day. You're staying here in California on duty Christmas Day. And I said, hey, that's not fair. We look after satellites, and one isn't even going up until January. And he said, nevertheless, we want a reputation of being ready. Ready for what? He said, don't be insubordinate, Medler. You're staying here on Christmas Day. So I called home. I was almost in tears. I said, Mom, Dad, I'm not going to be able to make it home for Christmas. My dad wasn't surprised. He'd been a career fighter pilot for the Air Force, and he knew second lieutenants always drew the worst duty. So he explained it to my mom, and I was the first member of the family since the family started that wasn't going to make it home for Christmas. It was a disgrace. And I told Bonnie that I wouldn't be able to see her over Christmas, and her parents responded beautifully. They gave her a Christmas present to fly out to California to be with me on Christmas Day. I thought, this is way better than going home for Christmas. We're going to be alone in my apartment. No supervision. So I got the call from Bonnie's parents, and I said, hi, Mr. and Mrs. Bruce. And they said, so where will Bonnie be staying when she arrives in California? I said, well, my roommate is going back to New Jersey, so we have 2 rooms in my apartment, and I'll stay in one and she'll stay in the other. And her mother, to my amazement, said, well, I suppose she'll be safer there than alone in a hotel. I was in ecstasy. Bonnie arrived, and I got off after Christmas, and we were able to go into San Francisco. We took a trip to the coast and played at the edge of the surf. We went into the woods, and there were redwoods and mesquite, and we had to be careful of the poison oak. We were East Coasters, and we had no in our system, we had no immunity to the poison oak. And we explored the theater scene, and I was so in love with Bonnie that it was like her parents sent home to me for Christmas through Bonnie. I got a call from her 2 days after she got back to Virginia. She said, Bill, I have this awful skin condition from my chin to my knees. It's a dimensional poison oak infestation. I said, Bonnie, I've got one too, in the same areas. How did that happen? happened? And she said, well, we must have gotten it on our hands, and that's every place our hands were over Christmas.